So one of the important features and really powerful things about yoga and meditation is that it has a direct connection to an ancient language called Sanskrit. Sanskrit and maybe a few other languages out there are really the known ancient languages that are still around in some form today. The others include like Latin, Hebrew, things like that. But before we just jump right into a good relationship with ancient languages, it's important to at least talk about language in general first. Because language and how we use words is really at the core of our influence. It is something that is in your direct control at all times. And what we learn in yoga and meditation is that your thoughts, your emotions, your inner states, all of that is actually within your control, but it takes training to be able to really control those things. But your language, it doesn't take a lot of training. It's just a habit. It's how we use our language over and over again, and it becomes repetitive. But if we can master our language and get better at understanding what things we use, not only speech impediments or filler words, but also negative words or things that we may just plug in accidentally, mindlessly.
Yeah, this language can be pretty toxic as far as what you say and what you surround yourself with. When I was a little girl, I was a gymnast, and it was really big up in the gym was, if you say you can't, then you won't. And that just flies out of people's mouth here and there. I can't. It instills such a limiting belief. Can you replace it? I'm trying, or perhaps I don't want to, and be honest with yourself. But just simply saying I can't, it just blocks any opportunity. So learning when that comes up and changing it. So can't is just one simple example, but there is all kinds of things that people just really have no awareness of. Now, it's hard to really listen to yourself intently. So you might notice this happening in other people's language, who you surround yourself with. And you really want to surround yourself with positive people that can maybe highlight or point out what are your, not downfalls, but...
Yeah, what are some of your bad habits in language? What are some of the filler words or...
crutches.
Crutches.
What are your crutches?
And this kind of thing, as you evaluate language, it doesn't give you permission to pick on people if they have negative language. Most times, people aren't looking for that kind of guidance, but
you are right now, right?
But you are right.
Yeah.
So you might find somebody, a confidant or a life partner that you have, whether it be a husband, wife, boyfriend, son or daughter, parent figure, it doesn't matter. But somebody that you can rely on that would give you that feedback, and you just go to them proactively and say, hey, I'm looking to improve some of my language. Do you notice anything that I overuse? Or something along those lines.
And what you start to notice about somebody else's negative language is generally a reflection of something that you are working on. So if you start to notice someone saying, I hate this, then maybe it's something that you need to check within your own language, like where is that coming from? Why is that bothering me? And then kind of, redirect it from there.
Yeah. It's a really important and honestly a good first step in a lot of improving some of our speech is just finding those key phrases that we overuse. So as we transition, I want to talk a little bit about ancient languages and Sanskrit specifically, because it's the one that I'm most familiar with. These ancient languages were developed or emerged during a time when speech was more simple. So just like all things, we have evolved over a long period of time to be more complex. Our way of living is more complex, our way of speaking is more complex. So if you were ever to look up a Sanskrit term, and that exists in a mantra, for instance, when you look up that Sanskrit term, what you'll typically find is that it has many meanings. There is a many-to-one match, is what I like to call it. And So one term may spiderweb out into 8, 10, 20 different terms. And to make things even more complex, sometimes you can take a word and split it in half and say, this part means this, 8 things, and then this part means this, 16 things. So to truly understand these terms, it's important that we don't just look at the list of 16 terms and pick one that we know. To truly understand them, we have to understand the breadth of all of the terms and know that each of these Sanskrit terminology, all the Sanskrit terms that we use, it doesn't just mean one of them. It generally means all of them, and all at the same time. Because as language has evolved, all of those words that are listed that we understand today, have become, independent. They've become solitary. Where these other words in Sanskrit or any ancient language in general, they used to mean a whole host of things. So the really powerful thing about ancient language is that it is a lot closer to our own evolution, and therefore our own primitive mind, our unconscious mind, and our desires. And so if we are to understand the sound, and the sound within that mantra, for instance, is going to imply the meaning and the result of that mantra.
Yeah.
So it's a very powerful thing to know where these things come from, because the sound that we make and the vibration that we make implies the meaning behind it. And so I'll give you an example. As our language has evolved, a couple different terms that I like to use is if you compare the term contempt with a more positive word. If you just sit upright and use the word contempt, and you feel the vibration, you can feel it maybe in your chest a little bit, but then contempt is very high in your throat.
Yeah, you can feel like it's an angry draw, like your teeth don't want to separate for that word.
Right, it's very lippy.
Yeah.
And
what happens when you get angry? You grind your teeth, right? Bite down. Contempt.
Yeah. And you compare the word contempt with the term harmony.
Harmony.
If you feel the vibration of harmony, it's much lower. And it's a softer term where you are expelling the sounds rather, and it vibrates your whole being in a much more positive way.
Yeah, it's got a softer tone to it, right? So
Yeah.
it's positive. So one of the great things about mantras is there's so many that you can find now, whether you read them or you listen to them. And sometimes I'm attracted to the sound and vibration. I don't necessarily know the meaning right off the bat, but you're just attracted to it. And then you go and look it up, right? Because it's the tone, it's the vibration, it's the feel that you're looking for, not necessarily, we want to look up the definition of everything right away.
That's exactly right. That's a good point. Is that as we produce mantra, sometimes knowing the meaning, as Crystal's saying, is actually counterintuitive or counterproductive rather, because then you have this specific thought of the meaning as you're repeating the mantra, rather than just being with the sound and vibration as it was intended.
Right, because the meaning and definition that you put behind it can spiral into all kinds of other emotions and other interpretations rather than just sitting with the sound.
Yeah, and the ancient languages in general, whether it's the primordial sounds associated with them or the terms that are out there, they have emerged based on the sound. The sound is the real key. The vibration, the sound and vibration are the real key. The meaning that we've associated with it, whether it's in your personal practice or if you just look across time and history, someone somewhere assigned a meaning to these things. So we're carrying forward somebody else's understanding and opinion of it. So again, the most important thing is to really feel the sound, the vibration of it, so that we can understand its essence. The essence of a term, the soul of the term, right? The soul of the vibration, the sound, is what we really want to have and hold close to us, because that is going to shape our whole being.